Am I the a-hole for waiting for the child support agency to take my money instead of paying custodial parent directly? I was paying my child's mother directly at $600 a month, on time every month. Still, she would barely let me talk to my child and refused to let me see her, ever. It was always a back and forth. She was either too busy or claimed I was disrespecting her. After I would get rightfully frustrated and voice my concerns, I started dating a woman whose best friend is a lawyer. She educated me on my rights as a father. I was never on the birth certificate because I didn't find out about my child until she was a few months old. I believe another man is on my child's birth certificate. The lawyer friend gave me a step-by-step guide. She advised me to establish paternity, put myself in child support, and get a court order for custody, within reason. Since I was already sending money, I followed her advice. My child's mother fought until the end. She argued that I didn't have enough of a relationship with my child to get 50-50 custody. The judge agreed but also acknowledged that the lack of relationship was her doing. I was granted visitation, holidays, scheduled phone calls, and reunification therapy for parental alienation. She also asked for back pay. I showed proof of the payments I had made to her, on time every month. When the judge asked her about them, she and her legal counsel claimed that they were gifts and not specified as child support. Legally, she was allowed to make that claim. There was nothing the judge could do, but fortunately he only granted her back pay for 1 year. I became the potential a-hole because it took the child support office 4 months to review our case. I started paying my girlfriend's best friend for legal advice, not necessarily representing me, more like consultations, and she advised me not to make any direct payments to my child's mother anymore. She had already shown that she would deny receiving the payments and claim them as gifts. I was informed that there had been an error with the case entry. The office is working to get it fixed, but they aren't sure when the payments will start coming out of my checks. Now, my child's mother is calling me the a-hole for not sending the money and accusing me of letting my child struggle. I told her that she is the reason for this, and that she is welcome to send my child to live with me. My friends and family are on my side, but of course hers are the opposite. At my last pickup, she, her friend, and her mom referred to me as a deadbeat in front of our child. I don't want to send her another dime and risk being in the negatives, more than I already am, because of her lies. So far, I owe her almost $10,000, even though I technically should only owe $2,400 since the case started, because I am only actually behind 4 months. All this because I wanted to see my child. So I'm asking, am I the a-hole? Added to add, I've done 2 DNA tests. One was an at-home test, and one was court-ordered so that I could establish paternity. Now that I have a child support order, I'm going to try the legal aid again to see if my income qualifies me for assistance, and I plan to get a lawyer to contest the back pay. I'm willing to jump through all the hoops I have to, but it's overwhelming, no doubt. Now for the comments. Obviously not the a-hole. Your child's mother is a monster, and her calling you names is irrelevant. Her opinion is useless and doesn't need any consideration. Oh, but her family thinks you're the bad guy too? Who freaking cares what those losers think? Again, discard any opinions they have. Pay through the proper channels only, and don't give her a dime any other way. Not the a-hole. Opie could have saved himself the hassle and gift claim by writing child support or for support of child's name in the memo of any payments. If you are ever paying child support directly, especially outside of a court order, make sure you do this. When I would Cash App her, it always said child support for child's name, and she still was able to claim it as a gift. How did all of this start anyway if another man is on a birth certificate? How did you know the child was yours? Not the a-hole, but you screwed yourself in part. And legally, she was allowed to do that crap. Legally, she was able to do this because you did nothing proactive to cover your behind or secure custody. You didn't even seek out legal advice. It fell into your lap via your girlfriend's friend. If you're not going to take responsibility for informing yourself, stuff like this is going to happen from time to time. You're right about that. It's no excuse, but I don't know how courts work and didn't know I could do anything. People always tell me fathers don't win in court. You also need to keep track of the name calling in front of your child. Parental alienation is something courts take very seriously. Do not send her money because she has proven that she will say it wasn't child support. It was a gift. Ask your attorney about parental alienation. The courts are getting better about visitation and custody for fathers. Good luck to you and your child. Yeah, the lawyer said that too. She suggested I buy those new Ray-Bans that let you record from your glasses to record all my pickups and drop-offs. Lol. I am mentally exhausted. Next story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my uncle on a $700 debt while he brags to his family about a surprise vacation to Maldives for his daughter as a Christmas present? Last September, my uncle Daniel, 43, came up to me, 22, looking all stressed and asked if I could have a sit down with him as he needs a favor. He began to speak on how he was really on a rough financial spot, and he really had nowhere to turn to, as he didn't have anyone to ask for a loan from and I was the only one left available. Mind you, I'm not rich or anything of the sort. I just happened to have the amount he needed at the time. According to him, it was a serious situation that he couldn't approach or tell other guys in the family, and the issue needed to be addressed soon. Without better judgment, I lent him the cash after much insisting from him. We agreed on payment before December, and I didn't even ask for any interest on it. With lots of hugs and words, he took it and gave me his word on paying it. Fast forward and we are now at Christmas dinner at my grandma's house, and all that time I didn't give him any reminders or a checkup. I assumed he was late or something, and he would let me know why at Christmas dinner, because the larger family meets every year for that. He also didn't call or say anything to update on his situation, and I just had to trust all was well. Now on a related side note for later, my cousin AITA, 20, Daniel's daughter, recently underwent surgery a while back, as she really had it tough for the whole of last year, while she recovered from a traumatic back injury from an accident. Everyone was enjoying their meal and suddenly my uncle stood up at the dinner table and called for attention for a speech. He began to speak on how his business took a really huge boost, and long story short, how he has just cashed in a large profit from some deals. He looked at AITA across the table and took out some brochure with some resort-looking location and said it was a gift to her for her tough recovery from the accident. All I could see was AITA visibly crazy excited. Someone asked what it was exactly, and Daniel said he was planning on taking AITA and the rest of his family to Maldives as a celebration on AITA's accident recovery. Everyone was now happily cheering AITA on her gift, as it seemed it was something she always wanted to experience. You can afford all that, but not repay my debt which you haven't said anything on? The words just slipped out of my subconscious mind as I looked at him straight in the eye. His words were, "Why are you talking about that now of all places?" Now I was mad. I reminded him in front of everyone on the exact amount, and I told him the fact on how he wasn't even communicating on repaying it. The entire family was in shock with dead silence, as my mom hurriedly changed the subject to avoid an escalation of the situation. Later on in the evening, my aunt, grandma, and some cousins began to lecture me on how I ruined AITA's moment after her struggles and embarrassed my uncle in the process. They leave in a week, and he still hasn't paid or mentioned anything on the debt. Am I the a-hole for ruining the moment and asking for repayment? Not the a-hole. Never loan money to family because they are never going to pay you back anything. Your uncle sucks, and you should feel free to talk crap to his face until he pays you back, which will never be. Yeah, never again. Especially him. He still hasn't addressed anything. If he had said something, maybe I wouldn't have said anything at dinner. I see why he didn't go for help to any other person. He never intended to pay you back. That's why he wanted it secret. I am sorry. Not the a-hole. This situation came about because of him and his choices. At worst, you're a justified a-hole. Stop assuming. Start being assertive. Become more vocal about expecting payment and issue a deadline. Tell your family you heard their concerns, but at present, you need that money back. And this is your repayment for doing a good deed for a family member? Yeah, I'll be better at communicating. I see where I could have done better on my part. Thanks for that. Not the a-hole. His a-holeness, especially in still not paying, that's a send the Venmo now moment, overrides everything else. I would say have some grace with your family, cause yeah, not best timing on your part, but I think it's 100% understandable. I agree now I was maybe bad with the timing. I should have controlled myself on that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my brother for not paying rent while partying every weekend? I, 28 female, live with my younger brother Jason, 25 male. We moved in together about a year ago after he broke up with his girlfriend, and I thought it'd be nice to help him out. At first it was fine, actually kind of fun having him around, but now I'm at my wit's end. When we agreed to live together, the deal was simple. We split the rent and bills 50-50. Jason's job isn't amazing, but it's enough to cover his share, or at least it should be. But since day one, he's been late with rent almost every month. Sometimes he doesn't pay at all, and I always end up covering for him because, obviously, the bills have to get paid. He always swears he'll pay me back soon, but it never happens. My savings are practically gone at this point. Meanwhile, Jason is living his best life. He goes out every weekend, sometimes Friday and Saturday, hitting up bars and clubs with his friends. He buys expensive clothes, eats takeout from fancy restaurants, and even recently got himself a new pair of designer sneakers. But when rent is due, he magically doesn't have it. The final straw was this past weekend. After working a 12-hour shift, I'm a nurse, so my job isn't exactly easy. I came home and found Jason getting ready to go out with friends. I asked him about rent, and he brushed me off, saying he'd sort it out soon. When I pressed him, he got annoyed and said I was always on his case, and that I needed to chill. He even had the nerve to tell me, "You make more money than me anyway, so what's the big deal?" That was it for me. I told him I wasn't going to cover for him anymore, and if he didn't pay his share of the rent next month, he'd need to move out. He got defensive, called me heartless, and accused me of not supporting him as family. He stormed out and hasn't spoken to me since, but I know he's been texting our mom, complaining about how unfair I'm being. Mom thinks I should be patient with him because he's still young and figuring things out. But I'm not sure how much more I can take. I love my brother, but I'm so tired of being his safety net, while he refuses to take responsibility for anything. So am I the a-hole for giving my brother an ultimatum? Or am I being too harsh? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You should have given your brother an ultimatum a long time ago. It's disrespectful towards you for him not paying his share of the rent. You did the right thing. You are right. I should have given him an ultimatum a long time ago. He is an a-hole for living his best life and not paying his part of the rent. Not the a-hole. His crying doesn't pay the rent. No words out of his mouth mean anything. Pay the freaking rent or GTFO. That's literally all there is to it. You are right. If he doesn't get it sorted, he needs to move out and point. I won't accept any more excuses from him. Not the a-hole. He's 25, not 18. He pays or he leaves. Grown-ups need to be held accountable. That's the only way they will learn. Your mom can take him in because, you know, family. She will have to take him back if he doesn't pay his rent. There is no way around anymore. I'm fed up with him not paying. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my younger siblings being separated from them was the best thing for me? When I, 26 female, was 11, my younger siblings and I were taken from our parents and placed in foster care. At the time, my siblings were 4, 6, and 7. We were placed in different foster homes together for a year, but the damage done by our parents was too great. My siblings could only see me as their mom and rejected anyone else doing anything for them. They would physically attack our foster parents if they stepped in to help, instead of letting me do it. I was growing more resentful by the day, and there were times I locked myself in a room and didn't come out, not to eat, drink, or anything. I was so overwhelmed. We were in individual therapy and family therapy, but during family therapy, they would sit on me and refuse to engage with the therapist or the toys in a room. It was suggested after a year that we needed a break. At first, it was only supposed to be 6 months. I'd be separated from them and placed somewhere else. But 6 months became 12. In that time, I bounced around a bit before settling in with the family. When my siblings and I met up again, it was in family therapy. A good 6-month effort was put in, but they still exhibited the same behaviors, expecting me to mother them and refusing to let go or engage in the therapy. They'd lash out at everyone around when it was time for me to go home. My younger sister even accidentally broke my arm one day because she grabbed me so hard and refused to let me go. There was another period of no contact, and then we had phone contact only. We never got past that because they were still set in their mindset that they needed their mom back, not their sister. They had an extreme meltdown when they were told I had been adopted. There was no contact for years. Even when I turned 18, I decided to focus on bettering myself, healing, and working toward my future, rather than trying to have a relationship with my siblings again. Last year, they reached out to me after they all aged out of foster care. They wanted a relationship, and I told them we'd need family therapy, and they would need to participate before any relationship could happen. They were reluctant, but agreed. It's clear they still view me not as their sister, but as their mom. I have told them I'm their sister, not their mom, and the only relationship I will have with them is a sibling one. I did this with the help of the therapist, and still nothing changed. They did open up more than before, so I kept trying. Recently, though, they have gone off on how cruel and disgusting it was to separate a sibling group. They said it never happens, and that the system should be ashamed. They wanted my thoughts on it for a while, and I said mine were different at first. But as they became more vitriolic, they asked how I could see it any differently, and why I didn't sue the state for separating us. A couple of days ago, I told them that being separated from them was the best thing for me. It allowed me to heal, grow, and have a small childhood with what little time I had left. I told them I was sorry it was rough for them, but I needed to not be weighed down by the expectation and demand that I be a parent when I was just a little girl. They hate me for what I said and told me I should never have voiced it out loud to them. Am I the a-hole? Your feelings are valid, and you were honest about your experience. It's heartbreaking that the separation was necessary, but it seems like it was crucial for your survival and healing. While your siblings have a right to their own pain, you also have a right to express yours and establish boundaries. You're not their parent, and it's okay to make that clear. Therapy is still the best place for these conversations, and continuing to insist on it is a wise choice. I had hoped after all this time they would see me as their sister and not their mom, but they have never grown from that. I guess because they never put the work into trying. I hate that for them too, because they're stuck at the ages we were taken in so many ways, and that's awful. Ultimately, the cause of all this is our biological parents. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your siblings need individual therapy that they are not seeking. It does not matter that they are your siblings. Do what is best for you. The problem is they don't engage in therapy like they need to. We all had individual therapy in the past. I still go. I need therapy for the family therapy we're doing. But if they don't work at it, there's really no progress to be made.